It was great.
Yes.
Anyway,
it is. But it's true. I'm writing upon you.
Right.
I sat down. I went down. We got there Thursday night late. We had to sit this in the morning, and we davened, and we all went to the Alter Rebbe. Then we went back. Then later in the afternoon, I went. There was no one there, and I sat and learned Tanya for an hour. It's unbelievable.
Told about that.
It was partial on my side, crying. Look at what you gave us.
Right, it's amazing.
Without this, we'd all be picking dirt out of our teeth. Look at this. It's like unbelievable.
We'd all be from West Virginia.
We'd all be from West Virginia. Ari, we're going to find some words that you can't put into a famous song. We're going to find.
It wasn't me.
Oh, was it? Was Yaakov?
Yeah.
Wow, Yaakov? Kol hakavod. Wow. Well done. Okay. I'm sorry I'm late.
Maybe you like this, huh?
Yeah, we was a late night, and then so I it's so funny how it's how it works. So I got to take the car today. So that means I get to wake up 10 minutes later. But it also means that when you can press another switch, I got the car. I don't have to make a bus, so you have more of your own time, and then you end up falling back to sleep. And the train is better. It forces you to be there at a certain time. If you miss it, you miss it. Anyway, okay. So we learned yesterday that the way to beat the Greek is Mesiras Nefesh. And we got to the end of the first paragraph in Zion, right? That the Gilui of Etzem and Neshama also affects the Nefesh Bahamis. Because there's a Gilui of it. That Gilui means, what's Nefesh Bahamis? Nefesh Bahamis is conscious me. Nefesh Bahamis isn't this horrible, terrible, disgusting, evil thing. Nefesh Bahamis, it can be the source of horrible, disgusting, and evil things, but it itself is just what you and I would call human consciousness, the source of human consciousness, the fact that I'm aware of myself and my life, and there's this person I refer to as I. Where does that experience come from? That experience comes from the Nefesh Bahamis. So that means Nefesh Bahamis makes all sorts of positive decisions, like Nefesh Bahamis decided to come to Chassidus today. Because I can't come to Chassidus, my Nefesh Bahamis doesn't decide to do it. Because then my body won't move. Because my Nefesh Bahamis is conscious me who's making those decisions. When everybody asks that question in Tanya, they always ask, well, okay, there's this battle between the Nefesh Elokis and the Nefesh Bahamis for dominion over the Ir Ketana, the small city. Okay, so everybody always asks the question when they first learn Tanya, and it's a perfectly reasonable question. Who makes the decision? Who decides between the Nefesh Elokis and the Nefesh Bahamis? I mean, the Nefesh Bahamis decides, so he'll win. Nefesh Elokis decides, so he'll win. Who makes that decision? So who makes that decision? What's generally on a certain level called the third soul. Nefesh Maskelis, Nefesh Sichlis. There's different opinions as to what exactly it is, but basically I was taught Nefesh Maskelis, the intellect of the Nefesh Bahamis, just conscious me. That person I refer to as I makes that decision. Right? Am I going to go on the side of Gashmias, or am I going to go to the side of Ruchnias? Or to put it more succinctly, but based on, am I going to go on the side of more personal, selfish reality, or am I going to go on the side of Elokus? Because Ruchnis can also be incredibly personal and selfish. Right? If Ruchnis is all
So then it also has this leaning towards towards not going to Chassidus in the morning. Mm-hmm. So then isn't it the same question? What then drives in that?
Well, no, but by virtue of the fact that it's seichel, so it can right, it can be educated to maintain a certain objective point of view, meaning what's true, what's proper. Right? And any human being can. That's not necessarily a Jewish thing, that's a human thing. Because every human is challenged to use their intellect to come to an appreciation of what's true and what's proper and what's healthy and what should be.
Right.
So now we obviously have a big advantage. How am I going to express this in a serious way? So that's a very difficult thing to do. It takes a lot of creativity. Schwer zu sein a Yid, but is not. It depending on what you want to do, and you want to make a real impression on Elam Hazeh. Not me. You really think that it's important. If you don't have Target mitzvah, okay. That a lot of props. If you have, yes, then you can reach that state. Because it comes from a place called Klippas Nit.
No good.
Yeah. So the non-Jew is not going to be able to do that. He's not going to be able to reach that state of complete selflessness. Again, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week. Does that mean he's a bad guy? He's a bad guy. I don't understand. Have you ever met anybody who did something completely and totally selfless in your own life? Did you ever do anything that was absolutely, completely, and totally selfless without any self-interest whatsoever? And that good feeling that you get because of it is self-interest. Oh, I feel so good that I did that. Fair. Get out of yourself, man. You low. It's not low. It's just that's the human condition. Okay. Can we transcend that? Yes. Right. Absolutely. Oh, that's an amazing thing. My neighbors Bahamis can transcend that. So in the throes of mistake, but I don't want anything. I want Elam Haba from this. Giving up the best Haba you've ever had is probably the best mitzvah you ever did. Oh, this is an Shaloi Almanas Lekabel Pras, not to receive a reward. But there's another girsa in the Medrash. Almanas Shaloi. I like that. Right. I think, honestly, I think the doctors I've met in my life, they didn't go to work for money. They went to work because they enjoyed medicine. But they were very, very happily paid, and they were paid handsomely, and they were very happy to get paid handsomely. But that's not why they went to work. They went to work because they like helping people. Oh, that's a beautiful thing. Okay. But there's still, hold on a second. The government's in Canada. The government stopped paying me. What are the doctors going to do? Do that. They just can't do it. It's not. People do it because they need it. They want it. When my wife first started working as a doctor in this country, 17 shekels an hour.
What?
Oh my God. What? It was before the famous doctor strike in the 80s. That's what she was getting paid, 17 shekels an hour. My father, a proud doctor in Canada, so he was also getting paid much less than an American doctor, but still he was getting paid a living wage, right? So he called up when he found out, he asked her what was going on. Well, how much do you make? 17 shekels. 17 shekels an hour. He said, wait, hold on, what? That's $4. I said, yeah. I'll pay you not to work. That's so disgusting. Stay home. I'll pay you. I have enough money to pay you not to go to work. I find that disgusting, and it's beneath your dignity to work for that as a doctor. He was furious. And he's right. Not but the Jews. Jews are going to be doctors anyway. Right? So you can pay them nothing. Right? Now, doctors, senior doctors in hospitals make a serious wage now. But in the 17, just working in the hospital as a junior, it's just unbelievable.
The bus drivers probably make more.
Well, now they make, in those days, I don't know what, but now they make 40 something, right? So, but I'm not going to go to work for the money, right? My dollars. We've divided it all up into.
What's kasher 8 days?
Beautiful. We say they're both 8. Well, okay, so they're both 8. Asma.
The menorah of the base of English was 7. And
Beautiful. Beautiful. The menorah of the base. Right, we learn how to celebrate the miracle with the menorah from the Mizbeach, and they're two completely different levels of avodah. Beautiful. And the last one word.
Why the time?
Time. Okay, those are the questions we have to. Now, time we've already dealt with. And we've also basically dealt with 8, right? We haven't said it yet, but we basically dealt with 8. It's all the might have been a teva, right? Okay, but let's see. Ubezeh yuvan masheneres Chanukah. We're going to say it now. Masheneres Chanukah chalukim mineres hamikdash. And now we understand why Neres Hanukkah are different than the Neres HaMikdash. Hein b'misparim, both regarding their number, 8 as opposed to 7. Vein b'zman hadlakosim, and also regarding the time of their light. Ki inyan Hanukkah hu haveda de Mesiras Nefesh. The inyan of Hanukkah is the aveda of Mesiras Nefesh. That's Hanukkah. Hanukkah is all about completely and totally l'mayla mitam v'das. The mitzad b'chinas yichida. It comes from that level of yichida, l'mayla mishtalshlus, beyond the natural order, which is also Shiva Adam, meaning not only Lamaila meaning Mishtalshlus Mitzad, reality itself, but also beyond your natural revealed reality. In other words, your conscious reality. Right? And even beyond the level of superconscious that is constantly becoming revealed in conscious, which is called Ratzon. Ratzon is superconscious you, right? What does that mean, superconscious you? You do not have immediate control over your will. Right? You can't not want something. But you cannot do it. You cannot think about it. You cannot speak about it. You cannot do it. That's conscious you. That's thought, speech, and action. That's naran. That's nefesh, ruach, neshama. What about chaya shebenefesh? So chaya shebenefesh is a makif, but it's the level of makif that's constantly becoming revealed in pnimius. Why? Because what am I constantly becoming aware of? My ratzon. I want. Okay, now I don't have control over not wanting that. I can't not want it. Tell a cigarette smoker not to want a cigarette. That's a ridiculous thing to say. Don't smoke it. That's not a ridiculous thing to say. You're saving his life. Right? Tell him not to want a cigarette. He can't not want a cigarette. He doesn't have the power not to want a cigarette. Over time, he can change his desire such that a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, he won't want a cigarette. Right? Some people in this room, right, 15 years ago, wanted all sorts of silly things. Why? Well, you were 5 or 7 or whatever, however, right, depending on your age. Okay, so of course you want all sorts of stupid things. 15 years ago, we also wanted stupid things, but we didn't have the excuse that we were 5 or 7. We were still wanting stupid things. Okay, say it. But that's a different. Okay, so obviously certain aspects of your Ratzon have changed over the last 15 years. Also the old guys here. I'm going to talk about myself, but the other guys here who weren't 15 years ago, their Ratzon has also changed over the last 15 years because they've thought about things and worked on things and changed. Okay, in a much more subtle way than you do from 5 to 20. Right? Obviously. Okay, so the Ratzon can change. But I don't have immediate control over it. I have long-term control, but not immediate. I can change it. I don't want a ratzon for that thing. Okay, so then stop dealing with that thing. Stop thinking about it. Stop talking about it. Stop doing it. Sooner or later, you'll lose the desire for it. Right? Except certain things we've talked about. Food and marital relations. You need those taivas. Those taivas are necessary for keeping you alive and keeping the world alive. So those taivas maintain themselves. They have to be controlled, but we know there were tzaddikim who lost their taiva for food completely. Okay, but that's not a normal thing. Right? Normal everyday people have a taiva to eat. They enjoy eating. Okay, obviously have to keep it under control, but it's not a taiva they're trying to get rid of. Whereas if they have a taiva for, I don't know, a certain type of music, and they decide it's not good for them, so they'll lose the taiva for that music. It's not such a big thing. They'll figure it out. It might take them 10 years. Okay, they'll figure it out. Right. There's 3 things, actually. The third is being a Mets fan. You can't ever get rid of that.
You took that right out of my...
You can't ever get out of being a Mets fan. No matter how bad they are, he'll still the Mets fan will still stay there.
It's true.
Where
are you?
Well, I'm in a slightly different book than you because I didn't run downstairs to get mine. I'm at the bottom, and this is 8. The Mizbar Ches, the number 8, Kashur, im Bechina Shalamayla, a level beyond Auschwitz. The first and second by the fact that there's one day, so Shabbos is the holiest place in time, but it's still a level in time and affected by time such that it has an end. It has a beginning also, Beseder, but it also has an end. The whole world will be a state of revelation. Such that, so to speak, the whole world will be, says, it's so mispashit l'kol eilam, Yerushalayim t'kol al Eretz Yisrael. But the idea being that that revelation that takes place in the Beis HaMikdash will basically be shayach to everybody in the world everywhere. There'll be a revelation of Elokus. What'll be unique in the Beis HaMikdash will still be more powerful in Kodesh HaKadoshim. But the sensitivity to godliness, the fact that everything you're looking at is elokus, that will be reality. So people will experience reality.
So you'd go into the base of Mikdash, you'd have this, you'd experience Elokus, leave, go on Jaffa Street, and all of a sudden it was back to normal.
Right, you felt like having the sushi.
Wow.
Well, somehow they got destroyed, right?
Right.
Which
So
we
that's-
don't get it, right? I understand, we don't get that part. But,
Right.
I mean, it's silly for us not to get it, in all fairness.
Right.
If we just think
We
about our
do the
own
same
lives,
thing
we do
on
exactly the
different
same
levels.
thing all the time, on
Right.
the same level, right? Absolutely. Right?
Different level.
I say that we're down here, we look back at them and they have this incredible gilui, and we just like, what? You learn nach, and Avodah Zarah, and more Avodah Zarah, and more Avodah Zarah. What is their issue with Avodah Zarah? Like, why can't they get it together? Stop bowing down to idols. I mean, what is the big deal? This is such a taiva. Yeah, they had a taiva for Avodah Zarah. They look at us. Those neshamas up there. Gashmias. What is their thing with Gashmias? They are so into Gashmias, these people. I don't understand. How many pairs of shoes do you need? I mean, my goodness gracious. What, shirts? How many shirts do you need? What, another sweater for that outfit and another sweater for that outfit? That's the men. Right? They just can't, we're like, what was wrong with your car? It was a perfectly good car. Why do you need a new car? What was wrong with the old one? They just can't get it. They look at us. We're just like drowning in a sea of whipped cream. And they just can't get it. We look at them and go, what is Zara? What is with you people? What's wrong with you? Right? Just serve God. Don't you get it? Well, we don't get it. Why? Because the Abraham took away the type of Zara. Right? We don't have it. He took it away. Right? It doesn't say Beferish, but it's explained in Mefarshim all the time. He took away the taiva for Elokei Kesef, gods of Kesef. What did he give instead? A taiva for Kesef. Their taivas were all spiritual. Our taivas are all physical. They had spiritual taivas for nonsense, craziness, the most ridiculous things in the world. Okay, take a step back and look at our lives. What are they doing? This is the craziest things in the world. For what? Okay. But the kinar, once the base of Mikdash is the third base of Mikdash is built, it should be speedily in our days. Right. So then reality changes, and there's a revelation of Elokus everywhere in the world. Right? The language of the Rebbe is, and it's a language in Chassidus B'chlal, but the Rebbe talks about a relative Yemei Mashiach, and we've talked about it before, that now what? So Elokus is Bihis Chadshus, Elokus is a Chiddush, Elokus is something novel that we have to think about and meditate about and learn about. And Metzius, created reality, is B'pshitus, is obvious. We don't have to think about it, we experience it. Yemei Mashiach will be the other way around. That Elokus will be B'pshitus, that'll be obvious, and created reality will be a Chiddush. And everyone said, with a smile, you'll have to learn physics to know that you can put your sitter on the table with davening. You have to learn physics before davening, to know that if you go like that, it'll stay there. Because you won't, somehow we'll experience reality in a different way. We'll just see the Elokus of it. So who says that this has to stay there? Why should it have to stay there? Right? So it doesn't, right? Okay, but it doesn't have to. It does, but it doesn't have to. Okay. So Elokus is in this room as much as Gashmias. It's all Elokus ultimately, but right? So what do we see? We see the Gashmias. That's what's obvious. That's what's not obvious. That's the Elokus we have to sensitize ourselves to. So we learn to see. Yemei Mashiach will be the other way around. The kino shel Yemei Mashiach sheyesh shmeinanim will be 8. L'mayla min hatevel. Da'af shebeis hamikdash hu makam hachi makudash shebeilom. Even though the Beis HaMikdash is the holiest place in the world, ubefrat, and particularly kinar shel Beis HaMikdash. What's the union of the kinar? The Rebbe is going to explain. The kinar is a place of, it's very, very powerfully connected. Shu inyan hamshach Hashem Havaya. It's connected to the drawing down of the gili of Shem Havaya, and that's the word kinar. As the Rebbe is about to explain the kinar. What's the word kinar? Oisius chaf vav. Gematria Shel Shem Havaya Ner. It's the Ner of Chaf Vav. It's the candle. It's the revelation of Yud Kei Vav Kei Chaf Vav. Gematria Chaf Vav. 26. Ner Havaya Nishmas Adam. It's the physical representation of godly reality. Mikol Makim, nevertheless, even though that's what it is this incredibly holy thing. Urak Shleim is the Seder Ishtalshlus. It's the highest level of reality that can be seen within the context of the natural order that we know. Therefore, it's Shivas Ninim. It's Shabbos. It's the Shabbos of our Shabbos. And Beis Hamikdash was Shabbos in space. It was Shabbos in time and Shabbos in space. So the Beis Hamikdash is Shabbos in space. But the Beis Hamikdash was Shabbos in space, just like our Shabbos is Shabbos in time. That after Shabbos in time, there's Yom Rishon again. So after Shabbos in space, you could walk out of the Beis Hamikdash and you're back in relatively mundane reality. I would imagine, not having ever walked in there, but I would imagine that when you walk out of there, you feel somewhat uplifted. Therefore, your relationship with physical reality will be different for a while. And if you do the hard work necessary, it could change permanently. Okay, Beseder, but you're still in a different place. Right? The Rebbe, when the Rebbe used to verbring in the days of the Frierdiker Rebbe, evidently there's a saying he said more than once, der Schwer hat Mashiach in the cupboard. My father-in-law has Mashiach in the cupboard. Meaning by the Schwer it's Mashiach, but not on Kingston Avenue. It hasn't come out of the cupboard. It's not Kingston Avenue, still Kingston Avenue. Still the same. You walk out of 770. In 770, the Rebbe's verbringing. You're looking at the Lubavitcher Rebbe with your physical eyes, okay? And the Rebbe's for Rebbe Vichen always discusses this, and I heard him say it once, but I assume he's talked about it more than once. Right? He was discussing the meaning of Ratzon and being completely focused on one will and one will only. And he said the only time he ever experienced that was by singing a niggin by the Rebbe and for Brengen when the Rebbe goes like that. The only desire you have in your life, the only thing that exists in all of reality is singing that niggin louder. There is nothing else happening anywhere. Okay, it's a very, very powerful moment. Okay, fine. What happens when I walk out of 7-7 after the Fabring? Where am I holding? Well, see what happens it used to be, it's not there anymore, but in Lipsker's little Makolit across the street, where there was, the moldy yogurt was the only thing left in the fridge. Right? 4:30 in the morning and everybody's starving. Right? So everybody piles out of 7 and walks in this little Makolit, which is literally, maybe the size of this room, right? And there's a little fridge over there that has, whatever's in the fridge, but who knows how long it's been there. It's been there since the Rebbe shop, right? So everybody's trying to get it. So are people pushing people out of the way to get their yogurt? Theoretically, it might happen. I don't know whether they did, but it could. I was in there. It wasn't the most comfortable position in the world, place to be. Mikol Makim. Who Rakshleim is the Seder Ishtalshlus. The Lochen Hayesh Shivas meaning. Mashein can be Mesa Mashiach. Mesa Mashiach is a whole different reality. Shiyeh Gila Shalamaylim Seder Ishtalshlus will be a revelation beyond the natural order. Shem Havai de La'ela Yoshel Shmeina Nimim. That's the 8 of Hanukkah. V'zeo, let's just read the next paragraph. Rosh Chodesh today. A lot of davening. V'zeo gam atam. This is also the reason. Sheneres Chanukah chalukim mineres hamikdash gam bezman hadlakosam. So the number, we understand that Chanukah is all about 8. So the mikdash is 7. The mikdash is the highest place in the natural order. It's the highest level of kedusha in the natural order, but it's not transcendent of the natural order. It's a place in space that has an end. Right? It's part of the natural order. It's limited. You walk out of the Beis Hamikdash and you're no longer in the Beis Hamikdash. When you're in the Beis Hamikdash, you're in a completely different state of reality. Okay, so the closest you and I can experience that, first of all, there are holy places in the world where you can experience that, but also you can experience it in time, Shabbos. So Shabbos is an incredibly holy space in time, and hopefully we all experience that and feel somewhat more uplifted and less connected to Gashmis and more connected to Ruchnius, and davening on Shabbos is different and learning on Shabbos is different. Okay, that's all true, but then Shabbos ends. It ends, okay. So then you're back to day 1. That's all the highest level in Seder Ishtalshlus. That's the pnimius of Matan Torah, why it is that Usvartim Lechem Mimachras Shabbos. All the Yisrael Semer is to get to the place of Mimachras Shabbos, the day after Shabbos, the 8th level. Right? You count 7 times 7 to get to the level beyond 7. Right? Also in the time of their lighting. When the sun sets. Specifically by virtue of the revelation, the bechinas yechidah, of the level of yechidah, which is completely beyond the natural order, also in us. We illuminate the dark. And we saw that in our last mimer. Here the Rebbe doesn't explain it like the Rebbe explained it al pi seichel in the last mimer in Pada B'Shalom. Pada B'Shalom, the Rebbe explained that the gilui of our yechidah brings about a revelation of the essential state of the physical reality we encounter, and that physical reality wants to be connected to the Eibishter. The Nitzut says the sparks want to be elevated. This is the language the Rebbe used in the last mimer. Not only relative to this light does darkness not conceal, furthermore, the darkness itself is transformed to light. Because what's the true panemius of the darkness is that it's light. Right? You have to be very, very careful not to decide that, okay, therefore I'm going to involve myself in the darkness lishma, which has happened. Right? That the whole Shabbatai Tzvi affair was all about that. This idea taken to a place where it can't go. Right? So you end up being antinomian because it's all Elokus. So since it's all Elokus, I can show the most powerful expression of Elokus by involving myself in the darkest activity because that's all Elokus. It's all Elokus. So it is all Elokus. What the Eibishter say? The Eibishter said, don't do that. Okay, so then don't do that. I know I'm smarter than the Eibishter. I know that I can even do that, and it's connected to the Eibishter. So we used to make a bracha every morning. Matir Isurim. He makes mutter things that are also. No. Don't go there. That's why people say people shouldn't learn B'nimius Torah, because they'll read this line and they'll interpret it in a completely wrong way and come to a point where they think, oh, the darkness is also light. So if I really understand that everything is Elokus, so I understand that the darkest things are all Elokus. Doesn't matter what I do, it's all Elokus. No. The Eibishter said very, very, very clearly what he wants us to do. Right? How do you want it? You want to transform darkness to light? Well, then last night the story with Malki's secret recipe, right? You have to follow the recipe. If you don't follow the recipe, the latkes don't taste the way the latkes are supposed to taste. Right? I have my own svaras. Oh, there's a recipe, and if I don't follow the recipe, so then it doesn't happen. The recipe is what's written in Torah mitzvahs. I have to do that with Mesiras Nefesh Mamish. It makes sense to me that perhaps in relative to this, since everything's Elokus, I could do it this way and not that way. Makes sense to you, that's good. Take a pill and do it the right way.
That's what conservative Judaism is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, on a certain level, I don't know whether it was as sophisticated in terms of, deciding that I want to connect to the Eibishter as much. But more the so-called false Messiah movements in, Shabbatai Tzvi was obviously the most destructive. That was his whole deal, right? His whole deal was it's all Elokus, and so anything you do is okay. And Adarabah, do a Veiras Lishma. You do an Aveira with the intention that the Eibishter is here too. I understand the Eibishter isn't here. Well, he is. But he said, don't do that. So who am I to say that I can? Right? And that act is an act that brings about darkness, not light. Why? Because God said so. End of discussion. Nothing to talk about. Okay, we'll finish the mimer tomorrow morning. Okay, there's not much to go. We'll finish the mimer. I will show up in time. Best Hashem. We'll finish the mimer tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Okay, Freilich Hanukkah, good Chodesh. And if you can have, and I mean this seriously, during davening, if you can say an extra kapitel Tehillim or have in mind the community at large, and specifically the Jewish community of Cairns, Australia, a cyclone level 2 has just hit. Our kids' fence has already been blown down. And, my daughter sent a video. The trees are moving. Hopefully none of them will fall. And hopefully the ikr, they should keep having electricity. That's the ikr. Their pool is filling up fast. They emptied it a little bit. It's filling up fast. So they say, we're going to take out the water later. So I'm sitting there, the nervous parent. Well, why don't you take out the water now? Because what if you don't